We are start.
What about James? Can you give the link to James as well?
James here.
Cool. Excellent. It looks like we're live. Okay, so hello everyone and welcome to the community call for October the 4th. Great to see everyone as usual. What we'll do is we'll jump straight into the slide deck. Good to see you, James. Do you want to say hello? Test your microphone.
Yeah, Action is working.
Excellent. Loud and clear. Cool. So let's jump straight into it. As always, we've got the 3 focus areas that we talk about each time: the core product, community growth, and the SubQuery network. So let's jump into the core product first of all, where the next couple of slides here, we're going to talk about some of the partnerships that we've created, we've announced, and the networks that we're supporting. On screen here, you can see we've got Meter.io, which is an EVM-based proof of stake, proof of work blockchain, eliminating front running with censorship resistant stablecoin that's pegged to what they call 10 kilowatt hours. The next one here is Mantle.xyz, another EVM compatible layer 2 network that uses optimistic rollup technology. So we're supporting more and more EVM chains, as you can see. Next on the list is Omniflex.network, which is on Cosmos, a decentralized media and network layer for creators and sovereign communities, and monitoring what they call interchain Web3 assets. So again, supporting and growing the Cosmos network. And the last update here for the Polygon.technology network, the ZK EVM scaling solution that is equivalent to the Ethereum's EVM. This slide you may have seen a couple of times already. You can see it's getting busier and busier as we support more and more networks in our multi-chain ecosystem, the multi-chain universe, so to speak. You can see a lot of familiar names, and I'm sure this will get busier as time goes on as well. We've been working very hard to improve our SubQuery SDK product. We've got version 3 that we're releasing very soon. And what I'll do is hand it over to James to talk more about the developments here.
Yeah, thanks, Sean. Hi, everyone. I'm currently on a little holiday. Thanks for Sean for taking over and leading most of this call. Main thing, we can skip the next slide, Suchi, is that 3.0 is the latest version of our SDK. You might remember about 4 months ago, we released 2.0 of the SDK, which had a few new features, and this is no different. We'll be releasing a full write-up of these, and these are very developer-focused. So if you're not a developer, it might be a bit tricky, but trust me, these are big deals for developers in terms of what they're doing. So the first piece is, obviously, we've talked about this in the past, but we've finally kind of got it production ready, and we've done a lot of improvements for 3.0, and that is code generation and scaffolding. So with a single command, when you create your project, you can generate the entire SubQuery project from that. That includes the manifest, and all the mapping functions are generated nicely from both EVM and Cosmos-based projects. So if you have on EVM, you select an ABI, which is your kind of contract definition file. And if you're in Cosmos, you select protobus, and you can generate the project from all that, select what events or logs or transactions or message definitions you want, and SubQuery will handle the rest. It will generate the entire project and save you a lot of time. It will save you a bunch of time with coding all the basic stuff that you kind of have to do. And it means that you get a lot of the kind of off-the-shelf stuff automatically generated. It's all laid out nicely, and it makes it easier for you to get started rather than writing all this boilerplate. So it's a big simplification of the developer process. Next one, Suchi, is obviously changing the project manifest from YAML to TypeScript. There's a lot of text on the slide, probably too much text, but basically we've been adding a lot of new features to our manifest. And the manifest is a definition of like what your project's indexing and how it indexes it, and now the configuration around your project. So it's a complex YAML file. And as we add more and more features, especially in this 3.0 release, we've realized it's getting too complex. It's a lot easier to make errors in. It's hard to find documentation. Each network has slightly different manifests and slightly different documentation, so it's a pain in the ass to manage that documentation. So with version 3, we are moving to TypeScript by default. And what TypeScript means is rather than in YAML version, it gives you a better type safety. It gives you a lot more advanced settings. And it also gives you, when you're coding in your favorite editor, it gives you documentation there live to make it easier for you as a developer to understand what you're doing and figure out how to code your project. So it kind of auto-completes all these things for you. So this step makes the development experience for developers of SubQuery projects a lot easier and improves the discovery and documentation of new features as well as configuration options. It's a pretty major change. We're still going through all of our example projects to migrate them. And when version 3 is released tomorrow, we'll be doing all these changes. And you'll be able to see how easy it is to make that move. For existing projects, you might find it easier to stay in YAML. We'll support both, but I do recommend moving to TypeScript just for safety. And also, it just seems easier to develop in when I'm using it, for example. So there's a screenshot that shows like difference of a new TypeScript style data sources section. The next one, Suchi, is improving the store methods. So this is highly requested from our customers. Basically, when they're in the mapping functions, they want to read data from the database to update the information. And the existing methods that we had weren't good enough. They didn't quite allow them to filter information. They had to retrieve a lot of information and page through it. It wasn't great. So we now added a new get by fields, which allows you to provide an unlimited amount of AND clauses. So for example, in the screenshot here, we're getting all records where the chain ID matches 50 and the account ID is some address. And you could add many more as well. So it just makes it easier to filter when you're retrieving data from your mapping functions. It's a very simple but very useful feature. And then last slide, Suchi, is configuration and project updates for the project manifest. Another mouthful. So this gives developers a few different things. So when you're developing a project, sometimes you want to define specific commands and arguments that people that are running that project, like in the network, for example, have to run that project under. So if you want historical mode, if you want, a certain number of unsafe mode, for example, you can define that in the manifest now, and that ensures that by default, third-party indexes will run it exactly how you intend it to be. So it gives you more control and allows you to kind of suggest changes to indexes. Developers now have greater control and confidence over their project's run, and they can be confident how it's going to be working. We've also, this is only one bullet point in the slide, but it's actually quite major. We've now implemented a new project upgrades feature. So you can upgrade a project by referencing a change in that project. You can schedule that change to happen at a certain block height. So if you've got a really complex project, you can make it so that it indexes, and then on this block height, it changes to a new version of that project. And that's something that other indexes do, and we've added that feature as well. So I think that's next. That's all, Suchi.
Awesome. Thank you so much for that, James. Now on to the next part around the all-important community and the growth. So just a few partnership announcements here with, for example, Ref Finance. This one here, these guys are the multi-purpose DeFi platform built on the NEAR protocol. And then the next one here is Xeon here, another layer 1 blockchain using COSM WASM. So again, constantly, as you can expect, working with various partners, getting them on board using SubQuery, hopefully to index a lot of data and showing the practicality of the solution. It was a couple of interesting couple of months as well. In particular, a few more conferences that occurred. And what I'll do is I'll pull James back in around some of the events that he attended as well.
Yeah, I've spent a long time in planes and airports. We started about 3 weeks ago with the biggest ecosystem event in Singapore. It's called Token 2049. It was a huge event, one of the biggest in the world, I believe. And it was just, the floor was massive. It was full of people, full of most teams out of Southeast Asia and China and everywhere nearby. There's even teams from Europe that came over. We were lucky to have a small booth. And we met a lot of different teams that use SubQuery and leverage our tool on a daily basis. Yeah, it was a great time, great event. There was about 300 side events, which shows you like how many things were on within Token 2049. It was a big week. And then hopped on a plane and went all the way to the other side of the world for Sub-Zero, which is a premier event for Polkadot. It's their main developer conference. I was on a panel with a bunch of our customers, Nova Wallet, Talisman, and HydroDX, to talk about building cross-chain applications in Polkadot. And it was really good to kind of meet with all our customers in Lisbon, talk to a lot of the Polkadot developers, and even developers from outside the ecosystem. So Lisbon is a bit of a hive of Web3 developers in the world. And it was good to be there and talk to many different teams. And then finally, we went over to Madrid and were invited to a conference with Stellar. Stellar is one of the worst kept secrets, as we're adding support. We're testing support for Stellar. Stellar's developing a new smart contract platform called Suraban. And we have added indexing support with the first index to do so for Suraban. So we demonstrated our solution to the Stellar developer ecosystem. And we also participated on some other panels. So there was a lot of travel around the world. And yeah, going to all these different conferences and talking to developers that are using SubQuery or will be using SubQuery going forward.
Great stuff. On the next slide here, just a couple of example projects that we'd like to highlight, some of these articles to indicate the multi-chain indexing in Polkadot and also in a Uniswap as well. And what I'll do is let me just go ahead and jump into these articles to show you very briefly. If I can go ahead and share this particular tab. I'll have to go ahead and let me try to change tabs. I've got it locked in a tab. So let me just see if I can paste this into the tab like so. There we go. You can see the multi-chain indexing in Polkadot here, demystifying one of the strengths of SubQuery, which is multi-chain indexing. And I won't go through the article here, but just highlighting down below here that when you do want to get started with multi-chain indexing, one of the key differences is that each chain that you intend to index will need its own manifest file. And then you'll need, as an addition, a multi-chain project YAML file as well. So just a quick highlight there if you are looking at multi-chain projects. So let's go back to the slide deck here. Let me just jump directly to where we were before. Here we go. And then the next slide here, you can see, very excited to introduce the SubQuery Zilli Campaign, campaign platform management. So as you may know, Zealy here is designed to foster a stronger bond between the project and the community to encourage active participation and also reward exceptional contributors who make the community thrive as well. So being community driven, all you have to do is follow us on social media, engage in community discussions, for instance, also contribute to SubQuery projects, and also keep an eye out for other challenges and activities where each action will earn you Zealy points, bringing you closer to the end goal and more rewards. So By contributing to the challenges, you can also unlock various other benefits as well. And we'll also be running Zilli campaigns in a USDC and other rewards up for grabs. If I go over to the next slide here, you can see a screenshot where you can check out the various challenges. And on the left-hand side, you can see we've got a leaderboard as well, so you can see how you're tracking. And if you don't know the link up above here, we've got zilli.io/c/SubQuery Network as well. So what I can do is, let me just copy the link as well, and we'll jump in and have a quick look. And if I expand this out, you can see the various challenges. We've got the likes of daily challenges or one-off challenges as well. And you can see if I scroll down, we've got an onboarding section on how to get started. And these are very quick, very simple, easy tasks to start off with. And then of course, scrolling down here, we've got some quiz questions on SubQuery under this Let's Get Quizzical section, thanks to Brittany. And then we've also got an early supporters section here, where if you're an ambassador or a senior ambassador, for example, you can go ahead and unlock these various levels as well. So speaking of these early supporter rewards, this is all part of extending our gratitude to our early supporters for your commitment and efforts over the years. Your dedication has played quite an important role in shaping the success of SubQuery. So for these, you can see on the screen, it's our way of acknowledging the important role that you've played in the journey. So very big thanks for being the driving force behind it. And then also congratulations for everyone on this call, because now it's time for me to share the secret code word with you, which for attending this call, you can be, you'll get rewarded with 200 XP points. And all you do is you jump into this particular challenge and you can type in the secret code word, and that is all capital letters and no spaces. It's show me the XP. So show me the XP, and I'll go ahead and write this in case you didn't hear me clearly. It's show me the XP in the chat window, as you can see. Okay. So with that, let me jump over to the next slide here and talk briefly about the SubQuery Network. We've also got a revamped My Profile page as well. So this paints a clearer view of your rewards, history, where you're staking, and where your delegation is headed as well. Okay. And also for the Kepler Network, would like to announce that with the USDC to KSQT swap, you can go ahead and effortlessly go ahead and make the swap, but it's also open and unlimited for any KYC participants. I can see Jane coming back here.
Yeah, I can add a bit more here. So we've had a chat to the lawyers. We're wanting to open the next stage of Kepler, I guess, at the moment. We think it's doing well enough, and we want to make it available now to anyone to participate. So previously, it always allowed people to spot, but there was basically no KSQT in the pool because no one was selling it. We are now adding funding of KSQT to the pool actively, and we're now opening it up so that anyone that wants to participate as a delegator can go and acquire KSQT and can be delegating. So can go in there and start. Now it is limited to people that have KYC. This is a kind of a legal requirement. And at the moment, there's a list of KYC addresses that we have from people that previously participated in private sales and others. We will be opening up a process right now to allow others to KYC. But just hold tight on that process. I think we'll do some talk about that tomorrow.
Awesome. Thanks for that, James. And then just quickly on the next slide here, as always, Kepler office hours. If you have any questions, please do feel free to join. Great. Let me just exit out of here. And what I'll do is make a quick note, because as mentioned, we're going to give out some spot prizes, and one lucky participant on this call is going to win an instant 500 XP. So what we'll do is, I know Sitchi's been busy in the background making the draw. And on the next slide here, you can see congratulations to Crypto Avocado on the call. I can't see them, but I know that Sitchi's in the background monitoring. Crypto Avocado, you're the winner of 500 XPs on Zealy, so we'll make sure that gets credited to your username. Okay, so that brings us to the end of the call. I'd like to open up for any questions and answers, the Q&A, if any questions that you guys may have.
Yeah, that's a great question, Jim. So we're in talks with numbers of teams. The challenge is that they have to integrate a small Apollo library into their front ends. We're testing that with one particular team this week using our testnet, a local kind of testnet. And the idea is, if that goes well, we might have that next week for you. It's a bit slow because they have to add a library to their front end. So we're kind of reliant on our customers to do changes to their front end to be able to access the SubQuery network. The library that goes in the front end is like a plugin for Apollo, which is a very common GraphQL library. So we're just a bit blocked on other teams doing that first before we can add third-party projects. There's another question here. What is left to do for the launch? Is the network ready for full operation? Pretty much is. And there's another kind of question related to this, which is, will it be a seamless transition to the mainnet, or you take a break before starting the mainnet to debug everything and check that everything's working as it should? The beauty of Kepler is that we are debugging and checking these things every day as we go through, and we have used Kepler to debug a lot of issues. Any indexer will tell you this. So we are slowly working through this right now, and the idea is that it will be a seamless transition to the mainnet. So on a particular date, on a particular block, we will turn off Kepler, and within a few hours we'll have the mainnet running. So we don't foresee any kind of downtime, any pauses between those two. Yeah, we still, that's the target that we're aiming for. I can't talk about that right now, but I was hoping to be able to talk to you about that this call, but that is still the target that we're aiming for. Oh, that's a great question. I assume...
So with Zealy, we've started out with a whole bunch of challenges, as you've seen, but we will add more, and they will be more complicated, more creative as well. So hang on tight, and I'm sure you'll all be notified. Another question, is it possible with Zealy we had a new ambassador program? We're improving the ambassador program as we go on, and stay tuned for more information on that. But yes, if you are interested, do let us know as well. Do reach out to us on Discord.
Okay, that's interesting. A indexer can adjust their commission rate to offset this. For many of the indexes, most of the plans and revenue they get is from sponsored plans, which are fixed, they're not divvied out based on your performance. So for a real world kind of project out there, more delegation will mean more rewards because you'll get a larger percentage of the reward pot. It's just at this moment, because we're providing kind of default plans to random indexes or to better indexes, that the delegation size does not necessarily affect your performance. But as I said, you can decrease the index commission rate, or sorry, increasing index commission rate, so that indexes can receive a larger proportion of those rewards to offset more delegation. You should be able to soon. I just think we're fixing up a bug with that swap mechanism. And as I said, like about 2 minutes ago, we're creating a process to allow other people to whitelist and KYC themselves for the swap mechanism. And I love a yes. That for Kepler, technically, you could increase your commission to up to 100%, but you wouldn't get any delegation then. All right. Well, thanks for the detailed questions, guys.
Another question coming through. Will a brief squeeze be made on the call? Not quite sure what that means.
I don't know either. Thanks, everyone. Thanks for joining. We'll have more information soon about the swap mechanism. We'll have more information soon about opening up, or the TGE and the launch of the network. But yes, things are still proceeding very quickly towards the end of the year.
Indeed. Great. Thank you, everyone, once again. And any questions, please, again, do go to our Discord channel or reach out to us at any time as well. So with that, thanks a lot and have a great afternoon, evening, morning, wherever you are.